After getting my AR-9 together, I had a chance to take it out to the range. And I have to say, everything shot just exactly as how I would expect it to. After getting my red dot all sighted in, I was amazed at how accurate it was right out of the gate. The faxing barrel and bolt carrier group on this really performed excellent. With this particular setup, it's a little bit bulkier than your typical AR pistol build might be at this length. But because of the extra weight, the 9mm round shot with almost no recoil. At least I could barely feel it. Follow-up shots were a breeze and everything functioned perfectly. At the range, I was able to shoot a variety of ammo. I tried to shoot a couple budget options, a couple mid-range ammos, and then a couple of higher performance ammos. Now, I actually shot 7 different ammos altogether. So they are Blazer Brass Max, Wolf Steel, Winchester White Box, Fiocchi Blue Box, Federal Personal Defense Jacketed Hollow Points, and then the Sig Sauer Elite Performance ammo in both 115 grain Jacketed Hollow Point and Full Metal Jacket. So let's take a look back on the bench and see how they did. Alright, so here we have the target, and let's see how these stacked up. So starting with the budget options, we have the Wolf Steel Cased 115 grain Full Metal Jacket, and the Blazer Brass Max 115 grain Full Metal Jacket. The Wolf Steel was, without surprise, the worst performing. All shots were done at about 15 yards, and all were done in 5-shot groups. The Wolf had a spread of approximately 1.5 inches, given the flyer out here. The Blazer Brass Max did a little bit better at about 1 1/8 inch, 1.125 here. After that, there was a pretty significant jump in performance given the short distance. The next one was the Fiocchi Blue Box. Their 115 grain Full Metal Jacket had about a 1-inch spread. Next was the Winchester White Box 115 grain Full Metal Jacket with a spread of about 0.8 to 0.9 inches. Next, one of the 2 entries that I did that were jacketed hollow points, the Federal Personal Defense 115 grain jacketed hollow point did the best out of both hollow points. It had a spread of about 3/4 of an inch. And then the best performing of the reliable ones that we shot today was the SIG Elite 115 grain Full Metal Jacket that came in at just under 3/4 of an inch. So it just barely edged out the jacketed hollow points from Federal. The last one that I shot today is not on this target. After shooting this target, I went ahead and filled it up with the Sig Sauer Elite 115 grain jacketed hollow points, and it performed terribly. It was the only round of the day that would not feed reliably. When comparing the Federal jacketed hollow point and the SIG Elite jacketed hollow point, you'll see that the V-crown design that SIG has, while it feeds excellently in all of my handguns, did not feed at all reliably in this rifle. Because of the very narrow tip on the SIG Elite, it would commonly get caught on the bottom of the feed ramp for the AR, in between the feed ramp and the bolt carrier group, and so they wouldn't perform reliably. After loading a round, shooting, and then it reloading, the next one would always get caught in there. So after about 4 or 5 rounds of that one, I went ahead and ceased testing on that one. That one I'm pretty well certain is just not going to reliably feed in this rifle. Which is a little bit of a bummer because it is my go-to defensive ammo when I'm carrying, whether it be my Glock 19 or my SIG P365. I tend to carry either the 115 or if they have it here locally, I'll get the 147 grain jacketed hollow point. That one's a little bit harder to find, so I also sub out for the 115 if they don't have that in stock. For this one though, the Federal ammunition did feed very reliably in the jacketed hollow point, so if I choose to have this be a bedroom middle of the night intruder type gun, I'll definitely have that for my defensive needs. Now let's talk a little bit about what I like and what I don't like about this rifle. So starting with the main bones of the rifle, the receiver set. There's a lot to like about this. The machining on this is excellent. The upper and lower receiver are an extremely tight fit, and it does make for a very accurate rifle. Aesthetically, it's also a very beautiful rifle, so I do enjoy that aspect of it. The only real cons I would say to this, while it is an excellent performing rifle, the chamfering on the magazine well you can see here does make for very fast, very efficient reloads, so I do like that. There are only a couple things I would really say are true cons with this receiver set. Here in the trigger guard area, the angles on the edge of the trigger guard are very sharp, so when you're doing your reloads, they can be a little grinding on your hands. I would like to see a little bit more chamfering go on here, kind of like we have on the magwell in really all areas of the magwell. It's very nicely finished and smooth, and doesn't catch on anything. I'd like to see a little bit more chamfering on these. So that's really one of the only cons that I have here. The other one is the mag release. After working with it for a little bit, it's loosened up a bit, so it is much easier to actuate now. It is still, and I don't have the world's largest hands, so this may not be for everybody. When I'm going to release the magazine, it is a little bit difficult to push this button. With your finger extended all the way out, I do have to break my grip just a little bit to get all the way onto the button, and so that is one qualm that I have. Angstadt Arms is sending me their new extended mag release for this, so I'm very excited to check that out when I get that in the mail. So I'll be doing a follow-up video on that pretty soon. So I'm hoping that'll solve that problem. So really the only qualm we have is the trigger guard area. As far as everything else goes, I'm very happy with the build altogether. I'm going to be doing a more in-depth review of each of the main components that go into this build, including the brace, the trigger, the pistol grip, the Strike Industries Redline components and what I think of those, and the Strike Industries rail. And then I'll probably do a combination video, that way you guys can get a feel for how each of the individual components perform for me. But overall, I have to say I'm very happy with this build overall. Everything fits together nicely, everything is machined to tolerances that allow everything to fit up with tight tolerances, but with enough room to get everything together without any modifications. So that's it for today for our AR-9 build. I'm going to be featuring this more and more in videos as we go out to the range and test different components. If you guys have any questions about any of the components in this build, definitely hit me up in the comments down below. Also, don't forget to subscribe and check out a link in the description for my blog post on this, where you can get links to all of these products and where to purchase them. Have a great day, guys.